What is the role of the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development? It should be the one that sets these courses that are taken up by the universities, actually.
They basically deal with the
high school.
The basic education.
That is basic education.
Yeah.
And primary.
Primary and secondary.
Yeah.
And we are even also saying we are recommending a review of the curriculum, because when the WESO did their research, and they said we have 37, 38 people who cannot do class 3 work.
Yes.
There's a group that came up and came up with a program that is being now piloted in some schools.
Yes.
And they said the findings are that the curriculum we are currently having is a problem.
Yes.
Because the teachers are not given proper guidelines on how to introduce even reading and writing and doing mathematics at that early age.
Yes.
And they have a unique program called Prima, and right now it's piloted on several schools. I've talked to several teachers who are telling me it's working magic. So you have the students who have gone through that piloted curriculum in class 1, 2, and 3. By the time they get into class 4, they're even telling the teachers, this is not the right pronouncement, this is not how you read it, this is not how you do it, and they're very confident. So I think we need to review our curriculum as a priority in this country.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about other subjects? Other professions? When it comes to professionalism, say journalism. How many fourth floor journalism schools are here? They are teaching journalism. They come and say, I want a job. What did you do? Journalism, print, media, what? What can you do? Can you edit a story and give you a story like this? Nothing. They never handled a camera. They never handled any computer doing any sound editing. They never did any video editing.
Yes.
They never. They can't write in English.
I think the big question is who authorized or registered this institution.
Yes,
exactly.
I remember when I was doing my master's program, I was in the University of Nairobi.
Yes.
And my professor, Magayo Magoye, when we were trying to teach us on issues about now radio,
Yes.
then I was actually ahead. He was trying to teach us with even print with the typewriters, and we no longer use typewriters at all.
Yes.
And so I actually was offering a lot of information on now editing and everything else, and the current equipment that the university didn't have.
But we never went to any radio station. I mean, we are not mouthing him, but
that was my
yeah.
and that was doing my master's.
Yes.
So then, look at the Ministry of Education. By the time you give a certificate or you actually authorize an institution to operate as a school of journalism, I mean, what should be actually the minimum?
Yeah.
That should be the biggest question.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem you're having is the Ministry of Education.
It is, I think, that each of these
computers.
Each of these professions have their professional societies, like the Law Society of Kenya. There's a Council for Legal Education. There's the Institution of Engineers of Kenya.
Yes.
You know, all of them. Journalism, there is, we must put to task the institutions in those areas that are responsible for the education in those sectors.
You see, like what the school,
more interest.
what lawyers have done, because the lawyers have found they are getting big lawyers who have gone through the school of law. They have now said the school of law will teach, but the examination will be done by another
institution.
That really becomes very important. That is very important.
Yeah. So there's a change.
The exams and math exams, which means the lecturer at the school of law will have nothing to do with exams.
Yeah, having an outside body too.
And that's what should happen to other professions.
Yeah.
Other people teach, others examine and mark. That will have some standard.
Yeah, there is a question raised by one of the people writing in. Why should we confine universities to offering degrees and then leave diplomas and certificates to other institutions?
Yeah.
As I said, the people who, when the ministry came up with this, and I think should be, I actually would recommend opening up. Yes. And the same thing comes to the technical institutes. When you look like the former Kenya Polytechnic became the now university. In Mombasa we have even Moranga Technology. They became universities and kind of almost dropped everything that they were offering, a diploma and everything else. I think it should be progressive, where they should be able to build their students from that lower level, going up to the most highest. And I think, and especially when it comes to technical, because of equipment and everything else, and you should be able to get better as you go up higher in your grade. So that one I think should be open. It should not be restricted. But the issue that you brought up about the institutions that we having so many colleges that somewhere on the 4th floor. I saw a school of journalism that was training on how to repair mobile phones and watches and everything, and that is part of their what they are saying they are offering is training. So we really need to get serious, and the buck stops with the Ministry of Education. All these other bodies, they will be mandated by the Ministry of Education to have an oversight, and even to advise them that whether this institution qualifies to become this kind of institution or not.
Yes.
And especially with the courses, it's very sad because a lot of our parents are using money to take their children to school. They have no background information what is the requirement of such an institution. Then 4 years down the line, just to be told that then your child cannot practice, then becomes very sad.
A question, I don't know whether this has been dealt with, the dispute over the appointment of the TSC commissioner.
Yes.
How far is that? And
we are waiting for the president to appoint a new chair of the panel, selection panel. It's a long story. It is a long one, because when we started, when we came in Parliament, we had already, there were 3 people who had already been shortlisted. They were rejected 2 times by the Parliament, so only one who was confirmed as a commissioner. Then the others, their time expired, so there were fresh interviews done. And by the time the interviews were done, some people also went back to court and said, hey, we were shortlisted and we were not considered by Parliament. So the court ordered them to be brought in together with the others who were freshly interviewed.
yes.
And of course, then when as a committee we sat, we recommended the Parliament to reject the whole process. Not even the nominees, but the whole process. Because we found that some people who had even initially sat as interviewees, to interview the panel, now came back and sat and were interviewed by the same panel and became also highest ranked. And so we said the process was fraudulent, and we requested the president to give us a new chair, and all the departments of the government that are involved to appoint new persons, not the ones who sat in that panel before, so that then they can do fresh interviews. Everybody is allowed to apply, even ones who had applied before, but with a new selection panel.
Somebody challenged that and said, look, I went through a process, properly constituted interview panel, and I came tops. Why should we start all over again? Because
even when the Parliament rejects, the only way that the president should look from the previous
list.
Yes. But now at this point we said the whole process was fraudulent, because even if you are top, and you previously sat in the same interview and interviewed some of your colleagues, now that you are saying you are ahead of them. So does that make sense to you? And I think Chapter 6 of the Constitution talks about integrity. And so if that one is not observed, then everything else is secondary. And so we are actually waiting for the president. The president only need to appoint the chair. Other institutions, the NAT, the Attorney General's Office, the Ministry of Education should give new faces, not the ones who sat earlier, new faces to that selection panel. They advertise, and we should have commissioners in place as soon as possible.
An interesting recommendation from one of our viewers that kindly recommend university exams, an university exams board, so that to be in charge of setting all exams, because the lecturers are having a field day.
just like the School of Law have done. They will teach, they will not set examinations, they will not mark. Same with the university. If it's Mount Kenya University, it will teach, but exams will be done by another organization, the marking, so that we have standard.
I think that would be right, but
Mount Kenya and any other university.
Those then should be professional bodies.
So
that if you're a doctor, then there's only one body that can examine you. If you're in marketing, then only one body that can examine you. I think that would be fantastic and would have quality from our schools.
Yes, there's an interesting suggestion here. Ask Madam Sabina to initiate a motion in Parliament so that school heads are vetted.
Interesting.
Most of them, 98% of them will fail.
It depends who will be the vetting body. It's an interesting one there, But there's a lot going in education, and I think it's the right thing, because now people are thinking much more about education. People want to get it right, and I think once we get it right, then the country will also get it right in everything else.
Okay, I mean, a lot of questions, I think some of them are too specific for you to have memory of. But back to Muranga.
Yes.
I hear, there's somebody raising here that a lot of the schools, they are congested. Average class, 60 pupils.
Muranga or in the country?
I think, this one is particularly from Muranga.
No. I was last week on Friday, I went to one of the schools. And I was challenging the parents that we need to get more children, because I also happened to go to Turkana the same week. In Turkana, one class was having 95 to 100 children, and they had 4 streams. And in the school I went to, which is, I want to name it, Getweku Primary School, which is in Muranga, Kiharu constituency, they have 33 children or students in class 1, and they only have 1 stream. So in our place, we are working on having more children.
Yeah.
And
more children going to school.
Giving birth to
more children.
Yes.
More family planning.
You know, now we have done family planning a lot, and now we have our numbers are becoming less. We need more because
I'm not sure about that. I think there are so many children not going to school. Not going to school, but going to coffee farms.
No.
Or tea farms.
No, the real case is that the real scenario is that we don't have many children. Families are restricting themselves to 2 children or
no children at all because they are drinking changa.
There are several factors. But if you even see the ones who are not drinking changa, Morgan is really about the others, no changa.
Those plastic things.
Yes, but you find that even not those ones, even the modern families, they're only getting 2 children. While else you go to other sides of the country and you find they're getting 7, 8 children. Yeah. My family, we were 9.
Is that why you're recommending more children? Because we're 9?
No, not really. But I think we, as a community, we need to have more. When I went to Ghana and I had 400 children in class 1.
Because they are going there for food. They are going there because the board is good.
And they doesn't mean we don't have children who are at home not going to school in Murang'a. That is actually the number. Go to the churches. Even go.
It's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
The only thing that we have in Murang'a is the performance, which we as leaders actually had a meeting, and we're working on how to work with teachers, how to work with the parents, because we need to get the parents with the right attitude to actually be part of their children, education. A lot of parents now, when we started with the free primary education and everything, they left everything to the government, and they are just telling their children, go to school, and that's it. And I was giving an example. When I went to Turkana, I said, yes, they're going to school for food. But it's because there's a lot of the poverty level is very high. Yeah. And they carry their bag and the plate and just go to school.
In fact, we saw a group from Citizen, the cameras. Very desperate people. They go to school. They are not going to school. They are going to eat. Even the parents are going to school. Let me tell you, I was given a story by the Deputy Governor of Turkana. And he said of a girl who came to school with no uniform, and she had only a plate. And so the teacher turned the girl away. And the mother came back and made a lot of noise. So the head teacher had to intervene and asked, so what is the problem? He said, the girl came to school, she has nothing, and she only has a plate. And so the head teacher, who is now the deputy governor, just got one book and divided it into 2, just cut it into 2 pieces and gave her the book and a pencil and told her, go to class.